Hi guys, it's Nancy, and I have a confession. I love Catherine Pooler inks. I have full set syndrome. I'm sorry if you are suffering this with me. You probably should not watch this video. There are 2 new colors added to the spa line over at Catherine Pooler Inks. If you're not familiar with Catherine Pooler Inks, you should be, okay? So you're going to go over to the website and you're going to download your new color wheel. There is the party collection. And there is the spa collection. And the color wheel is free for you to download. It will have the 2 new colors added. I haven't done it yet, of course. I got to do it. And then you're going to add this little doodad, which will help you have them. But the 2 new colors that have added to the spa collection are goldenrod. And I always recommend getting the re-inker because you're going to... Once you guys see what these inks do, you're going to use them a lot. So you're going to need the re-inker, and then depending on how you store your inks, I have mine in a ink storage system where this side pokes out. So I put my labels on the side there. So I used to label my re-inkers when they didn't come in color, but now they do come in color, so I don't have to worry about that. But this is what I do. So when I get them, they do come, these just came today. I literally just opened the mail, squealed, and ran downstairs. So they do come, and they come in full size and minis. You don't have to buy a full collection. So you lose nothing by going to minis other than a smaller size. I mostly use full size inks. Occasionally I will get minis for traveling, but I always start with a full size. So you cut your labels. The labels always come 4. So I share with my friends. I cut the ones, mine first, and then I will mail these to my bestie. And she will have them for hers because she's going to get them because she is also addicted to Catherine Pooler inks. So now this will be like this. So when I put it in my storage system, whoops, that one's a little crooked. When I put it in my storage shelf, put it on straight, don't put it on crooked like I did. There we go. I can see what it looks like. Okay, so let's repeat that for verbena. And if you know my best friend, Tracy, you know she's all over this verbena because it's purple. Purple, purple, purple. Spa colors are a little more muted than the party colors. So just depending on what your color palette is. Of course, you can mix and match your colors any way you like. But there are over 100 colors now with the Catherine Pooler inks. I've done many videos telling you the wonderful advantages of Catherine Pooler inks, but the number one reason why I like Catherine Pooler inks, besides the variety of colors, there are no 2 colors that are alike, is that they are spongy ink pads. So if you are somebody who struggles with stamping and getting a good stamped image, and you feel like you struggle with a good ink coverage, then you might want to try Catherine Pooler inks. And I think that's what got me hooked, is I found that a lot of the ink pads that were out on the market for me were felt ink pads, and the felt ink pads were very dry to me. And I would constantly have to go in and re-stamp and re-ink and re-stamp. And when you re-ink and re-stamp, even when using a Misty stamp tool, it made me nervous because I was re-stamping. And so when you re-stamp, that causes an issue because you could possibly mess up your stamped image. So the first thing you're going to notice is you have number 1, a variety of colors. Number 2, we have a spongy ink pad. When you have a spongy ink pad, it makes it way easier to stamp those images out. And of course, What did I do with I reorganized my room to make it easier to find everything. And of course, where did I put my Catherine Pooler? I just had everything in front of me. Okay. Hold on a second here, Nance. Don't you love when you guys, we do that? Hold on. Lost my stamps. Give me a second. Literally right in front of me had a box covering it. If, like my dad would say, if it had teeth, it would have bit me. Okay. I am grabbing Flight to the Dragonfly stamp set. One of my favorite. Okay. But I want to stamp this out so you guys can see the differences in the colors. Plus, if you guys like to do layering stamps, these are really nice to have your different colors of layering stamps as well. All right, so let's start with our newest kid on the block here. On this side, Goldenrod. So Goldenrod is a darker golden yellow. I'm going to love this in the fall time. It's the perfect name for it. For you guys that are doing, your fall stamps. Corn. I love to do, fall sunset scenes. You can not only stamp with this ink, but you can watercolor with this. You can heat emboss over it. If you are using clear ink over top is the best way to do it. But it's such a nice, crisp ink. It works well on solid colored stamps. It works well on fine line stamps. But this ink, what you would do to do heat embossing, it used to be if you were quick enough, you could put clear embossing powder over it. What I recommend doing if you want to do heat embossing over it is use your Misty, do your colored ink first, then do your clear ink over top of it, and then do your clear embossing over top of it. Then you have full coverage. But if you're quick enough, yes, you can do heat embossing over it. But stamping for thin lined images, stamping for full solid images, but with that ink pad you get a really nice high ink pad, and it's spongy, so there's no lines. So you can see when my stamp goes into that, I get full coverage of ink on there. See how that ink is on there? That's what I like about these ink pads, and that's what made me addicted to these ink pads. And the more and more colors she comes out with, just makes it even easier for me because I don't have to worry about, do I have the right color? I know I have the right color. Let me move that out of the way. You'll see these are dye inks, and as this dries back, this one's going to be slightly darker than that one. I can already see it changing. All right, so that is Goldenrod, the newest color, and that was Whipped Honey, which is added last year, Shea Butter, which has been a long time color, and then the brand new one is Goldenrod. So as you're doing, again, layered stamps or layered stencils, those have been very popular lately. You add these colors. And again, I do recommend adding the re-inkers if you have re-inkers. There's so many re-inker things you can do too. So stamping, coloring, watercoloring. Another thing you can do is add a blender pen and do coloring that way with a blender pen. So if you do full solid stamped images, you can get a Tombow blender pen. This is a Stampin' Up blender pen, but I have done stamped images. Just dip into one of the ink pads and you can color in any of your images. So you can do coloring with these dye ink pads, but dye inks go in and they dye your paper, which means they dry faster. So when they dry faster, it's less chance of you smearing that ink and making a mistake. So for somebody, if you are new to stamping, you want dye inks, because with dye inks, you don't have to worry about smearing that ink. The other thing that you can do with these inks is you can do ink blending with them. So whether you use a brush or you use an ink dauber, ink blending is very easy to do with these inks. They are so smooth, and because now you have multiple colors, multiple color lines, your blending of colors is seamless. So you can go and blend with an ink brush or a blending brush, and Catherine Pooler has beautiful blending brushes as well. Let me find my purple one. I have a purple one. I don't think I have a purple one yet. we'll use this one and we'll do some blending with the sky. Okay, so let's move over to this side, to our purple side, and we are going to start with lilac and work our way down. Lilac here. And let me write these. Okay. They also have the smaller ink pads, so if you are short on storage or you don't want to invest in new inks yet, but you want to try them out, let me show you what the size difference is. The smaller ink pads are this big. So the smaller ink pads are a little bit smaller, but you don't sacrifice quality. It is the same spongy ink pad. They come wrapped in the same shrink wrap plastic, but they're just a smaller bite-sized version. So I know a lot of my friends have gone with the smaller ones. You get that same spongy ink pad, but it is a fraction of the cost. I still recommend you get a re-inker when you're getting the smaller ones, because obviously these are great if you are stamping up smaller areas, but they will do the same thing. You can still use these for coloring in. You can still use them for stamping smaller areas, larger areas, solid areas. And it's the same spongy ink pad, the same ink, and you can use the same re-inkers, and you can still use the same labels. So if you're going to label the side or label the front, you can still use the same labels as well. They're great for traveling as well, but these inks really are a go-to for me for doing all things. And let's stamp this last one. And that is my confession. Obsessed with full set syndrome when it comes to the Catherine Pooler inks. And you can see as these inks dry back, they dye into the paper, they even themselves out. And so you look like a better stamper when things are made easier for you. They blend beautifully, they color beautifully. Let me show you how easy it is to blend with them. We're going to take this new Verbena ink. And the secret to blending is having a nice brush, but also to making sure that you have a lot of ink. You want a lot of ink on the edge of that brush there, okay? So I'm just going to saturate that brush. Start off the paper off the edge and go on there, but you can see those inks just so smooth and so pretty. Now, the more you put on, the darker it's going to get, but you can see how pretty those inks want to go on there. They're also water reactive, so if I spray this, well, this is a mist. This isn't like droplets. Oh, that just soaked right in there. That's a thick paper. But you can see it's already starting to reactivate there. So these are water reactive. So again, if you wanted to watercolor, I can take a little, normally on my glass mat here, but I can take this ink on a palette and put it on a palette, and I can watercolor with a watercolor brush. I can go direct to paper. So if I wanted to just color my paper with my and die cut this, I can die cut this if I wanted my background to be that color. So many different techniques you can do with Catherine Pooler inks, and that is why I am addicted to them. So if you are new to stamping, and people ask me all the time, what are your favorite inks? I confess my full set syndrome has always been with the Catherine Pooler ink. So we have lilac stamped here, The newest color is Verbena, which you can see is in the middle there. And then I have Royal Treatment down here on the end, which is quite dark. But you can see that. And then the newest color on this side is Goldenrod, which you can see now that the shea butter has dried back. The Goldenrod is shade darker than the shea butter, which is in the middle, and then Whipped Honey. So hopefully you guys want to go check out this. There's also some new stamps. There's dies. There's also new hot foil releases for those of you guys that have the Glimmer, the Go Pressin foil, or the Gemini foil press machine. There's new birthday release. And actually, today is my sister's birthday, so happy birthday to my sister. And if you had fun watching me test out these new colors, give me a thumbs up before you go. I want to know in the comments down below, have you tried Catherine Pooler inks yet? And again, if you don't want to try full size, maybe you try out a couple of the smaller ones. But don't forget to grab a couple of re-inkers while you're there, and the labels, depending on how you store them. Any questions, post them down below. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Click that bottom right hand corner and join our Facebook group. It is called the Foiling Snobs Club. You do not have to be into foiling. We are not snobs. That is just our made up fun name. But go check out everything down at Catherine Pooler. I'll have the links down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.